Hi, everybody. Welcome to this video about Neptune's passage through the sign of Pisces. We are the astrologers of Pandora Astrology. I'm Jamie Kale Miller. I'm in Berkeley, California.
And I'm Julia Mikas in San Francisco.
And we're going to tell you today about how long Neptune takes to move through Pisces, how it feels, and what you can do about it. Here on screen, you can see the only thing I'm showing in this chart is Neptune, just to keep things simple. Here's Neptune beginning Pisces in April of 2011. Neptune generally spends 14 years passing through a single sign. And this is very wildly different from the sun. You probably know that it takes the sun a month to pass through a sign, and it gets around the whole zodiac every year, whereas Neptune's orbit is massive, and therefore it takes about 165 years to go all the way around the whole zodiac, and about 14 years to go through a single sign. So this began in 2011, and it finishes in January of 2026. And so it's there for about 14 years. So this isn't just a transit, this is really an era. And it has a way of really conditioning and creating the culture of the times that Neptune is in a given sign. And it also gives rise to generations of people who are born with Neptune in a given sign, and all have a shared dream or vision. Neptune is the dreamer, the artist, the visionary, the imaginative, compassionate, empathic, sensitive, spiritual, and otherworldly archetype. And right now, it's traveling through its own sign, and it's particularly strong in its own sign. So, Julia, I'd like to throw the ball over to you. And while you're talking about Neptune in Pisces and how it feels, and what you've noticed during Neptune's passage through Pisces, I'm going to just let this roll, and as an illustration of watching Neptune move along.
Yes, well, Pisces is the last sign in the zodiac. It's a very spiritual sign. It's a very compassionate sign, and it's also a sign of creativity too. And what some of the things which I've noticed, especially since I believe it entered 2011 with Neptune's passage in Pisces, one of these things I'm borrowing from Stephen Forrest, who sent out a newsletter a number of years ago, finding a correlation with Neptune and Pisces, also Pisces and Neptune both having a strong association with film and glamour, that this has increased the amount of streaming that we've done. I even know personally, my parents never watched TV when I was growing up, but since we have these streaming services, everyone's zoned out these days. Also, Pisces and Neptune can have a lot to do with substance. And guess what? In the past 10 years or so has been increasingly legalized. That's marijuana.
Hallucinogens in particular are very Neptune. Yes.
That has also become a lot more acceptable, whereas back in the 90s, I mean, that was definitely not, pot still was used a little bit for cancer patients in California and other places, but it was definitely not so mainstream. Other things that I've really sort of seen to sort of characterize this time, I've also noticed that veganism and vegetarianism have become increasingly popular, more talked about in ways of saving the environment, in ways of being compassionate towards animals, which again, very, very Neptune and very, very Piscean. And I think also an openness to astrology. There have been a number of articles written. I remember reading some in the Atlantic a few years ago that this generation has been especially a lot more open to astrology, tarot card, all of these more alternative forms of spirituality versus orthodox church and temple. So yes, there certainly has been an openness. Perhaps one could make an argument too, lower manifestation manifestation of both Neptune and Pisces can be martyrdom, self-martyring, like, oh, poor me, a little bit of victimhood as well. So, there might be some level of kind of preciousness going on there too in its lower manifestation over the past decade or so.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it would be interesting to speculate a little bit about what this this generation who's being born right now during Neptune in Pisces might be like. The sign that Neptune is traveling through tells us something about the dream of your generation. What is the vision of your generation? Like, for example, folks born in the late 1970s, really through the 1970s, pretty much, have Neptune in Sagittarius, and they're a generation of free spirits. The beautiful dream of travel, multiculturalism, globalism, world connectedness, and tolerance among peoples, followed by the millennials born as early as 1984 or as late as 1998. Who have a beautiful dream of authority that is like a society that is structured in a way so that everyone contributes and everyone benefits. It's a dream of power. Yes, it's a dream of expertise and excellence too. And then we have the Neptune and Aquarius generation, who are children right now, born starting in 1998 and going for like 14 years. That would be to about 2012. Yeah, 2012, 2013, something like that. And this is what I like to call the tech generation. And boy, have they been exposed to devices, right? Lots and lots of devices, and they're growing up and forming their social groups like online. They're coming of age and relating with their peers increasingly online. And so they have to deal with social media, and they're trying to figure out bullying actually right now. I know, because my 10-year-old is very much about that. And then so we come up right up to the Neptune in Pisces generation, beginning in 2011, finishing right here in January of 2026. So going through 2025. And I think that we could speculate that this is going to be a generation of artists, probably a very spiritual generation, but probably also an empathetic generation who may have trouble with their own empathy, with their tendency to merge, their tendency to lose themselves in, their interests or their relationships or their careers, to merge with things in their life and to probably just be challenged around boundaries in general. So I think it's going to be very interesting to watch the people who are being born now grow and to see what gifts they bring from the realms of imagination and spirit. Any final thoughts, Julia?
Neptune and Pisces, man, it's going to be quite a shift when it jumps into Aries. That's the closing. Whenever a planet, especially going as long and far as Neptune does to go around the sun, goes from Pisces to Aries, it is a big paradigm shift. That'll be really interesting.
It's going to be a very different feel too, because Pisces is so boundaryless and sensitive, and Aries is so direct and so fierce. Yeah, it's going to be a very big shift. Okay, well, thanks for watching this video. Hope you enjoyed it. You can find good stuff like this on our website, pandoraastrology.com. You can get readings, take classes, and definitely check out your horoscope. Until next time, we'll see you around the cosmos. Bye.
Bye-bye.